Whoa. I don't even know the last time that I have done this. It almost feels like foreign to me to hit the live button because I don't ever go on this page anymore. I don't even think that this page is in an algorithm anymore. I know that Project Flint was highly pushed back, and the algorithm for quite some years actually had suppressed anything that this page or I had posted. So I'm surprised to see I even have 2 viewers right now, to be honest. But it's been a long time since I've done this. Hi, Giuseppe. I remember you. You were always following when I was doing all kinds of stuff in Flint, Michigan. But I actually came on here to say, it's been a while. I came on here to say that I am so disappointed because I know some months ago, Facebook had sent out a notification saying that what I thought was going to be in August, they were going to delete all of the live streams that this page had created, and if I wanted to download them, I could download them. And I had actually gone off my social media just for a little while, and I thought, man, I should get back on there and download the live streams back from when I was really active working in Flint, Michigan, because most of the really important information and pressing work that I had done and had been involved with were done live stream, and a lot of the community truths that they told regarding what was being done to them and the truth about what was really happening was a live stream video. And so I'm really sad because I just went back on today and I found that they're all gone. Every single live stream that I had ever recorded throughout the years has completely just dissipated and disappeared. I don't know where they went. I don't know why they did that. So I'm very, very disappointed to see that. But I guess also in a sense, this world is crazy, and definitely by now people know, I think for sure, that a lot of the stuff that I had talked about in years past has come to fruition. I was recently thinking about, I don't know if anybody remembers when I was on the north side of Flint, Michigan, and I was talking about this bacteria that was coming through the pipes called Stenoptrophomonas multifida. And that video is still on this page because I had created a video from a live stream that I had done. A friend of mine that I was working closely with, I still, even though I haven't spoken with her in a long time, I still consider her friend, Lisa Fowler, because, those bonds sometimes with people, they just don't go away. I feel like I know if I saw her tomorrow, we'd pick up right where we left off. But I was thinking, I'm like, man, what's so crazy is how this was before COVID even happened, and I was talking about how, because the Flint water crisis wasn't a planned thing. I mean, it was a planned thing. It wasn't a coincidence. And also, you guys, because this page is suppressed, and I actually do feel like God is stirring something in me again. At some point, this page might be valuable once again. So I think I've just been fearful to use my voice. I've been fearful to come on here because a lot of the things that had happened, consequently, for being a person that went and did and chose to be obedient to a call, right? So when you put yourself into work, look, I have a cat now, and he's biting my hands. I'm just trying to distract him. I've been fearful to come on here and say anything because I've had a lot of crazy stuff happen, and it's stuff that you don't want to talk about because people think that you're crazy or you're a conspiracy theorist, and some of the things that I've endured and have experienced almost could possibly even make people think that I'm like paranoid schizophrenic, because I'm telling you guys, like, the level that people in power will go to silence your truth, silence your experiences, your knowledge, what you know, is immense. And I'm living proof of this, and I have stories that I just don't even talk about, because it's like, why? You know, I lived it for many years. I'm so happy to still be alive. I'm happy to have come out the other side. But I'm just sad to see that those videos are gone. But that one live stream that I did on the north side of Flint, Michigan, regarding that bacteria, was before COVID happened. And I said, and now when you Google search, Stenopteromonas maltophilia, which was once labeled on the internet, it was searchable as bioterrorism. I'm not kidding you guys. When this was a first known thing, because Wayne State University was researching this bacteria, and there's actually a lot of universities and scientists that were like fighting for this study, because they all wanted to be the first ones to conduct this case study on this bacteria, right? Everybody's got all these funds and grants, and a lot of them were provided via, our federal government. So they were all fighting for this study, but it was labeled as bioterrorism. And I said, I'm like, just watch, like, this is going to happen worldwide. And then COVID happened just a few years later. And it just, I guess, really I came on here to just say how disappointed I am that the live streams all disappeared. But now that I'm here, I'm like reflecting on stuff and thinking about everything that had happened during those years of my work and the things that I had done. And I just feel like, God's not done with me, and I still look over my shoulder. Like, I would be stupid not to, because I remember once in a live stream, I had said, when things are quiet and peaceful, and that's when you really have to be looking, because the fact of the matter is like, I did the thing, I did the work, I said the truth, I went, I did, I showed, and I know that there's people that are not happy with me because of the knowledge and the facts and the work that I had done. I had stepped on a lot of toes. Just peel it off. I got this like serum on my lashes. It's supposed to help them grow. All vanity garbage. But, so, I just, now all these years later, like, I'm still kind of aware that, hey, just because I'm not doing this anymore doesn't mean that there's still not people that are mad at me. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, God, why? Like, why did you send me? Like, why was I doing all this work? Why did you give me all this knowledge? Why did you have me sitting at the table with people I wasn't even at that time educated enough to even be at those tables and sitting in those rooms and working with these people? And and it's all I can sum it up to is that it was divine. It wasn't me. It was him. He trusted me with an assignment, and I chose to be obedient with it. And every step along the way, I put into his hands, and he literally led me. I mean, the first day that I ever landed in Flint, when I didn't know a soul. I had a car full of water. I truly just intended to get there and just help the people. And I said, God, lead me, show me, guide me where you want me to go. And then he led me to this family. And then it was just on from there. And like, I never knew that like 6 years later, I was going to be doing all this stuff, right? And exposing deep corruption, deep state stuff, genocide, intentional stuff, and I'll still stand on that. And, just because, I have a normal life. I go day to day. I live about my business. I work a job. I have a normal, typical life, just like everybody. But almost every day, I'm always constantly thinking about the things that I've experienced and have seen, and remembering, being followed, remembering the things that happened, and the first time I realized that I wasn't safe, because like a lot of the times when I was doing the work in Flint, Michigan, a lot of the dangers that I felt were solely in Flint, Michigan. And then I remember the first time that I started noticing things were happening, not just like if it started to be on my way home, because it was like a 5.5 hour drive from Flint to my house and vice versa. And I was seeing people midway through my trip at a gas station, right, that I had saw at like the White Horse Tavern the night before. And that's when it dawned on me, like, I am truly being followed. These people are truly onto me. And a lot of the things that, you know, they will do to silence you and fear-monger you into shutting your mouth, I'm telling you guys, it's like from a sci-fi movie, the stuff that I had endured and had gone through, even, you know, down to them entering my home, you know, coming, I remember instances where there were, you know, notes left on my car, and then it got to be where, like, I would come home and there were, like, weird things in my house. I knew somebody was in my home. A lot of stories. All that to say is that, you know, sometimes I look back and I think, and I'm like, why, God, would you even have me do something like that when there's still no justice? Like, the hands that did this got away with it. The truth still isn't known, even though I put it out there, you know. And Matthew McFarland, he was the foreman for the Flint water plant, and he was, in my super strong opinion, he was murdered because of what he knew. I mean, he was set to testify just a week before his death. He suspected they were trying to kill him already, because there was a day he worked at the Flint water plant. And I had inherited, you know, some knowledge and some logs and things of his, and he had inherited, I had inherited some of his records, messages and text conversations and photo albums in his phone. After his death, you know, they investigated it. The FBI looked at it. They did an autopsy. I got a copy of that autopsy, toxicology, all of his records. I'm looking over this stuff and I'm like, no way in the world did this man just die on accident. They were trying to silence him because just a week after his death, he was going to testify in court about what he knew, and what he knew was clearly written in his log. Like, he wasn't, it was like, I look at Matthew McFarland as a hero, because he wrote in his log. I mean, he was the one that was out there at the dams and at the pumps and everything for the Flint River, documenting the PSIs, the outflow, the intakes, all of this stuff for all of the different drainages and stuff like that. And one thing that had crossed my eyesight upon looking at his writings in his own log, his work log, was talking about 001, and then he had said, dive the river to find out, because I don't know why, because he obviously suspected and knew something. And so that's what led me to 001 in the first place, which is what showed me that, you know, like Lockhart and, well, mainly Lockhart, you know, they were dumping all these chemicals into the, you know, it's a big chemical company, and they had all these drains and stuff, and it was, I'm sure it was just malpractice, like they weren't doing things right, and, you know, things were just going into the drain. I'm talking chemicals like you probably can't ever even get your hands on, right? Into the drain, right into the Flint River. And the thing about it is that when they were testing the river, there, so many people are like, that's not true. They didn't, you know, the people were not poisoned. They tested the water. From where 001 came out in the Flint River, where it exited to the intake drain. So the exit drain for 001, which is where the poison was going into the water, to where the intake drain is, to where the Flint water plant was sucking in the water from the Flint River to use and process for the residents of Flint, Michigan, was literally like, I want to say a quarter mile, even less than a quarter mile of stretch of river that they were testing. They didn't test that area. They were testing way before and way after, and they were deeming this water as, you know, okay to use for using for the Flint residents for their water, for showering, bathing, drinking, everything. And not to mention, it wasn't consistent. It wasn't a consistent flow. And then also, you know, don't forget the Superfund sites that are all over that city. Like one of the major Superfund sites, Racer, like they were dumping, I mean, Obama, like he's the literal president at that time that had signed the approval to dump millions and millions of gallons of this overflow, because this Racer Superfund site that was inherited by the federal government was overflowing with toxins left over by General Motors. So this, when General Motors went bankrupt, our federal government bailed them out. And as a result of bailing General Motors out of bankruptcy, our federal government inherited basically everything that they had left behind, General Motors. And a lot of Superfund sites, which is essentially a huge cave of super toxic, deadly chemicals all over the city of Flint, Michigan. Well, one in particular, the Racer Superfund site, massive. If you look at it overhead, aerial, it looks like a ship, like a literal ship. Not only was it just leaking and seeping into the ground, because the infrastructure itself was old and this stuff is highly corrosive and it's eating away and it's in the drains, it's in the soil. They approved for millions of gallons to be drained into the water source, into the river, into these drains for days at a time, months at a time. So they knew exactly what they're doing. So when Obama went to Flint, Michigan and he drank the water, remember when he cleared his throat, can I get a glass of water? And then he drank that water in front of everybody. That was a slap in the face. They knew exactly what they're doing. And I don't even want to blame it on a single administration, be it Republican or Democrat. I really think that it's just like an America thing. Like it's a USA thing. Like our government is not for the people. And that, when I really woke up to that, was when I experienced Flint, Michigan. And that's why I'm so adamant about, you know, like people think I'm so crazy because I'm always talking about, these crazy conspiracy theories. Well, a lot of the stuff that you see now that's coming out, like this stuff is real. Like the things that they're talking about, even down to the technology that they'll use, that like sound waves and waves that will affect your cerebral cortex and make you go crazy, make you think insane. You know, I mean, our military has devices that can actually do that. And I know because I was a victim of that. One time I had it happen to me, and it was so intense, and it was like for about an hour. I don't even think I ever shared this story, but I will right now. I was at that time, my whole life had erupted, because I firmly believe that, you know, all of this stuff starts from the top and it trickles down to the bottom, and there are people with power at play, and ultimately it was able to affect my entire life, including my family life. And so I had to leave, you know, my life that I had knew and built for myself. And as a means of support, I had moved in with my dad, because I was going through hard times, and it was a transitional period, right? And this is still while I was doing all the Flint stuff. Well, during that time was kind of one of the heights of when things were pretty dangerous for me. And I was talking about a lot of ugly, dirty stuff, and I was exposing a lot of people and names and truths, right? And so I was sitting in my room at night, and while I was sitting in my room, it's hard to describe, like it wasn't like an audible sound, but it was more like, I'm sorry. It was more like a feeling, like I could feel this pulsing, this intense wave. It was like, if I were to describe it as a sound, it was like, wah, wah, wah. And actually, if you live in a city that has like, 5G towers or those cellular towers, like a lot of those do put out those frequencies. That's why like in inner cities, when you see those things on buildings, a lot of that stuff that's intended for our Wi-Fi and our internet and stuff like that, they do affect your brain negatively. You see a lot of higher crime in those areas. But anyway, so when that was going on, it was so intense, and I just knew, I was like, this isn't normal, because I almost couldn't think. It scared the life out of me. I was terrified at what I was feeling and experiencing. I couldn't think straight. I felt I can't even tell you guys what that was like at all. I couldn't. The only thing I could do was lay in my bed and pray and ask God to just protect me until it was over. And I know I sound crazy, but I truly believe that I was at that moment being targeted by like some sort of a wave, like, and I've seen videos actually kind of describing it, like it's like a sound wave that it's pulsations that do affect your cerebral cortex and make you go crazy, and a lot of the things that they attempted on me like didn't work, just stuff to fearmonger me. And so then I started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I just didn't feel safe anymore, and I knew I was being followed, and this stuff was starting to come back home. And my mom, who, she's gone home to be with the Lord, she was a detective when, my entire life growing up. So I do know she was the only one that really believed me, and also my stepfather, because he grew up in a communist country. And he's an old man. And he, even back then, when he was younger, he tells me stories about the technology that they had in his country, in a dictatorship country that he grew up with, super communist. And so he also believed me. And they both hated that I was doing this work because they were scared for me. But my mom especially understood, like, she's probably the only person that understood that it wasn't her business to tell me to stop. Even though I was in danger, she knew that if God calls you to do something, like, it's our responsibility to respond. And so I was simply responding. I put myself in the path of danger, and it devastated a lot in my life. But ultimately, I trusted it in God's hands, and he has brought things back together. But, here I am years later, always reflecting back on the Flint water crisis, always wondering, why, God, did you send me when people are still not in jail? All of the hands that, killed these lives, the legionnaires, the deaths, the children now that are in that city that are growing up affected. I can't imagine how many people now have mental illnesses, cancers, have died from cancer, are being diagnosed with diseases, all kinds of behavioral issues, intellectual issues, all of these things that were inflicted upon them as a community as a result of the poisoning from the Flint water crisis, from the water that they drank, the switch of the water that was intentional. They knew exactly what they were doing. But not just that, but this has been happening for many years to that community. I mean, Flint has been a community, a case study for so many years. I mean, you have to look back to the history of Flint, Michigan. First of all, Kettering University is there. I mean, that's a insanely, like, that school, those kids, those people that go there and study, I mean, that is a technological school, like, right up there with Tesla, right up there with Elon Musk, which, by the way, Elon Musk did also have and gain a foothold in Flint, Michigan. And it makes you wonder why, they have a lot of plans. And Flint, Michigan is also an international trading hub. I mean, the highways there, the way they're all set up to come in and out from all over the world, it's like a perfect land grab. Everybody wants a piece of Flint, right? And the people that are there have always been a nuisance. And then, so just because of that, why not study on them? A lot of these case studies, medical studies that come from the NIH, like, a lot of them are conducted from communities like Flint, Michigan. I mean, you look at like the Love Canal, and then also other places in the world where there have been other toxic calamities, with Erin Brockovich, even when she was doing her work regarding, was it P&G or P&G, was that? I forget, but you know, they were poisoning people too, and she was working really hard to expose those guys, and so a lot of those people also suffered. And this, you know, their hands are all in each other's pockets. At the end of the day, we live in a really crazy world, not just country. It's not just the USA. This is a national thing. And what I've come to acknowledge is that, yes, our country has fallen. Yes, it's corrupt. Yes, these people are ugly and they're doing things to us every single day to damage our health, damage our minds, damage our children. You know, get inside, mind control, all of these things by the things that we watch. Even in our music, you know, there's different frequencies that you can use that can alter your mood, alter your thoughts, alter your behavior. At the end of the day, you know, the bottom line is that God is in control. And I don't think that Flint was it for me, and I don't know what's next, and it might not even be anything close to Flint. Maybe it's just reaching my own community in a small way, but I definitely felt super discouraged today when I went on to the Flint page, because I hardly ever do that, and I saw that every single one of my live streams was gone, completely vanished, and I had meant to download those or screen record them at least and put them on the YouTube channel so that they weren't forgotten, because, you know, an old friend, Tony Morales, he was poisoned, him and Heather, by the Flint water crisis. And they told their story many times. You know, I would go there and I'd meet with them, and they were always happy to speak and share their story, because so many people were pleading to share their story because they were so silenced and made to be just this like community worth nothing, like they did nothing for themselves, you know. And that's so just not the truth. Within every community there's always going to be an issue, you know, people struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with. But what I found when I went to Flint, Michigan, is that this was an extremely oppressed community. And yes, there are many issues, and yes, there are people that have their own individual issues like crime and drugs and all this, but mental illness and all this stuff, a lot of it is generational, and again, I go back to being inflicted upon them. You have to know the history of Flint, Michigan to understand exactly what I'm saying. But the end of the day is that we all matter, and it is our job to look after one another. And I think that since I've done this work, it has changed me. I don't even know, I can't even say right now, like, if it's changed me for the better or for the worse. Like, I'm definitely much more aware. I'm much more cautious. You know, when I first went to Flint, like, people were like, who is this chick? Because I was just so full of energy. I had just so much stamina. I was so eccentric. I was just so ready, you know, and that was truly me. Like, that was my real vibe, right? Like, I wasn't faking or forcing anything. And they thought that I was, some of them, because, like, they weren't used to that, and, like, who is like that, right? I didn't grow up, like, under a rock either. Like, I have experienced life. I've seen things. I know things. Like, I'm very exposed, and, you know, I have a street smarts about me, and I also have a genuine care for others. That's God-given, like, purely just God-given. I'm not perfect. We all suck at sometimes, right? But throughout the years, definitely my work in Flint had started to kind of chip away at me a little bit. And still, like, I look over my shoulder and always paying attention to, like, what cars are outside, and writing down plates and just descriptions, and because I'm aware, and I know I've pissed a lot of people off. So like, there's this crazy relationship that happened out of Flint, and that person hates me also. So, you know, like, I'm always looking to see, like, is that guy, like, you know. And that was a whole nother situation that I think too was put on to me. But all that to say is that the real reason that I popped on here tonight is because I had saw that all of my live streams were gone, and I really wanted to kind of just do a test and see even, like, if this would work. I see that it does work. Project Flint page has not been active for so many years, and if there's anybody that feels like I failed them, I'm really sorry. Like, I definitely tried my best. I gave my best foot forward. I did everything that I could within the power that was given to me by God. I don't believe that it was in vain. I don't know what it was necessarily for because of the justice aspect. Like, I just don't feel like there was any. These people still walk free. And I still have a passion. You know, I think about it all the time. And sometimes I wonder, you know, is this going to be one of those situations where 20 years down the road, it's going to come back to light and, you know, some of the truths that had been revealed but suppressed and hidden will once again come to light. Maybe I'll be dead by then. Who knows, right? But I'm just trusting that, like, it wasn't in vain, and maybe it was preparing me for something different. Maybe it was just a test to see how obedient I would be to a call. I don't know. I truly don't know. Maybe it was to go and just bless the people's lives that were that I was able to affect and bless and influence. Maybe it was for my personal growth. You know, I'm not entirely sure. I still don't know. Do I look back and have regret? No, I don't. I look back and I just wonder why. Like, that's really the thing, is like, I wonder why. Like, because that was such a crazy literal movie. Like, you couldn't make it up. Like, there's no script that anybody could. Marvel's pretty good, actually, I gotta say. When it comes to imagination and coming up with the wildest scripts, Marvel, I would say, is pretty spot on with, like, that aspect. But I also have my own theory on Marvel, and how it relates to, like, our spirit world and stuff. But, conspiracy theorists. No, I'm just, like, aware and knowledgeable, and I've had a lot of experiences, right? So you suppress things, you keep things to yourself, you go about your daily life, because what other choice do you have, right? You don't. You just have to keep on living and, you know, wondering what's next, if anything, you know? And so probably just blabbing at this point. Glad to see that this page is still live. I still don't think that it is. I think it's still kind of like a suppressed page. I know that I get notifications, your page is at risk because you have not followed the guidelines. Because I, like, posted offensive material or shared something that was not true, they said. Like, I was posting things about, like, the Flint water crisis that I know 1000% was true, and then I was getting these notifications on Facebook saying your page is restricted and your page is not being shown because you're posting things that are offensive and untrue. And I'm like, 1000% I know that this is real. I saw it with my own eyes. I did the work. I did the research. I spoke to the people. This is real stuff. You're the liar, Facebook. So everybody knows that, you know, we're all being censored, and I was highly censored, and this page still is super censored. And so for the sake of whatever may come in the future, it just truly does depend on, like, you guys to, I guess, still tune in. So for the few people that are watching right now, hi, thank you. I'm still alive. They haven't killed me yet. But no, I'm not even really concerned about that anymore. I just, I'm bummed out that these live streams are gone. I maybe will see if I can't try to find a way to get them back. Maybe I have them somewhere deep in an archive in my phone, Google archive, photo albums, you know, all that stuff has a funny way of reappearing somehow. But I would like to get it on the Project Flint YouTube page because there was a lot of really important information that I received, and the stories from the citizens of Flint, Michigan themselves, key, crucial, you know, pieces of information and videos that are gone. And so that really bums me out. But there's still some of the reels, and there's still some of the stuff that I had made, and photos and things. But man, those live streams were just essential elements to the truth. And again, I just gotta trust, you know, that this is all gonna be for a purpose. So with that said, tides are changing, seasons in my life are changing, and just putting my life in God's hands. I hope that you guys are all doing the same. Things are weird out here. nobody knows what's what anymore. You know, all we can do is just love each other and try our best to be our best versions of ourselves. I know that I fail all the time. Yes, there's a YouTube page. It's literally called Project Flint. There are some live streams on there, actually. So if you guys wanted to go to Project Flint and subscribe and then share, that'd be cool, because there are some live streams I do recall, like, putting on there from years past. So at least I did that. But they're not all, like, the ones that are most pressing, like the ones that I'm thinking in my head from, like, people that have passed away. Their stories, like, the most important truths, because, like, I was just, like, you know, like a journalist going there, but I wasn't a journalist. Like, I did a lot of different things and filled a lot of different roles, and one of them was just like a form of a journalist, like giving these people an opportunity to have a voice, and their truth is what's important. I was just the one providing them, like, an opportunity and a platform. I wasn't, God was, to share their truth. And so that's what sucks and kills me, is that they're gone. Like, those videos are all gone. But I'm going to be pretty determined to try to see if I can't find some of them. You know, they've got to be somewhere. So, yeah, well, I guess that's that. For the few people that are watching right now, I hope you're having a good night, and I hope everybody's well. I hope that you're all safe. I hope everybody is healthy. Love your people. I definitely know that you know, we all could do a better job in our lives at being, you know, great people to those around us. But life is nothing but a test and a challenge, and we're all just growing every single day, everything that we come across. Thank you, Edison. I really appreciate that. I definitely need it, especially just in my mind, my heart. You know, like, things are changing in my life right now, and I know that every time this has ever happened in the past, it's always because, like, something is coming or something's going to happen, or I'm just meant to do something different, right? So always the prayers are appreciated. I still have this huge heart for others, even though I think I'm less giving of it immediately nowadays. But I know too that, like, God has been reminding me that ultimately we're all just broken people, and like me, we are shaped by our experiences. So, you know, the love that I displayed and the courage that I displayed in going to Flint the first time and continuing that work all those years is still in me. It's just been, like, kind of hammered at, right? And that's just like me. That's just like you. That's just like all of us. You know, we all get hammered down and chipped away because of life and the experiences, and we get burned by people, and, you know, we get cheated out, and we get lied to, and all this crazy stuff. And all of our experiences are so different, but they shape us. They shape our minds. They shape what we're willing to show. You know, we're guarded people. And one thing that I'm working on is, despite my surroundings, despite the people that I might not trust or even like, or, you know, just continuing to walk in love. Because at the end of the day, like I've always said, love truly does conquer all. And I'm also having to learn this for myself, that love conquers all, because despite all of the efforts that they did to destroy me, and even, you know, just make me lose my mind because of the truth that I was telling, and because of the love that I was demonstrating, exposing this darkness, exposing deep state corruption, exposing corporate corruption, government corruption, all of these things, despite all of that, you know, continuing to walk in love. That love is what kept me from discontinuing that work. I mean, people would be like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you in this neighborhood? Like, not even the police come here. And I was just like this girl, you know, all by myself, you know, delivering water. I just wanted to talk to the people. I just wanted to hear their story. I just wanted to see if they'd be willing to share their story and get it out there for them. And God always protected me. I mean, the stories of miracles that happened along the way is what was my guiding faith. That was what anchored me in those storms, was because despite everything around me looked like doom and gloom and terrifying, and I knew I was being followed, and I knew these people were watching me. And I mean, there was even one night I was like at the park where they set up camp for, I forget what park that's called, in Flint, where they had Camp Promise. But I was out there one night in the parking lot, and like literally I had a red light like shine. I could see across the parking lot, like red light planted right on my body. Whether it was just a laser, a scope gun, I don't know. But all I know is that they did everything they could in their power to try to scare me. And then God would send me these amazing people like Troy Prince. And he was always looking after me. Like one time we had this event with these crazy people, and I kind of thought maybe I was starting to like get this like understanding, like, oh, maybe these people are kind of nuts, right? But we did this event, and it was a community event, but like they were really actually like anarchists, and like I didn't know at that time what anarchy even meant. I learned so much. I was so naive. And they were anarchists, and like I did this like event with them, and really started to realize kind of more and more like, oh, these guys are crazy. Because I'll tell you another story actually too. But Troy, he was in Chicago, and he had this conference, and he just like knew I was at this event with these people, and he just had this feeling, like overwhelming feeling. He's like, I gotta get there. I gotta like protect this girl. He left Chicago, and in a matter of hours, he was in Michigan by my side. Like, are you okay? Are you good? Be careful. Like, you just always looking out for me. And, you know, people like that I'm so grateful for. You know, I'd go into houses, and like the house I was staying at, sometimes I'd be scared to go in after like a day's work or an event that we had, or like meetings that I was having, and I would just be scared, you know, because like I knew that like my life could potentially be in danger. And he would go through the house, and he would like clear it for me and just check everywhere, make sure I was safe. And but going back to the story about those people, those anarchists, like what really showed me that they were nuts was when this one guy, we had like this was kind of even in the beginning, really. This was the turning point for me, when I started to realize like, dang, like people are starting to come out of the woodwork now, like the crazy ones. Some friends and I had just some like normal people, right? Like in the beginning, like I had just met like these just normal people, like everyday people, like just friends, like we would just like go and have these amazing events for the people, and we would have stuff for the kids to do and food for them to eat. And then after the whole day's work, we would just go and have like a bonfire, and we would sit down and we would laugh and we would talk like friends do, right? So one night we did that, but like these people came, and one guy in particular, he was like this big tall guy, and he had this like, I'd never seen any kind of technology like it before. And sometimes I wonder, like, were these like government people like trying to just feel me out to see what I was really about? Like, I don't know. Or were they just truly just crazy anarchists? I have no idea. But this one guy in particular, his wife supposedly was this therapist. She said, Flint has not forgot about you. We are thankful for your voice and exposing what the monsters are doing. Thank you, Brianna. That really means a lot to me right now. Like, a lot. Thanks. I have never forgotten about you guys. But we were at this bonfire, and his wife was supposedly like a therapist, like a doctor for people that have been involved with like human trafficking, like elitist style human trafficking, like programmed to have different personalities. So if anybody understands anything about what I'm saying, basically like on certain levels of elitist operations, you know, I do believe this is a real thing. They basically can, you know, it's like mind altering stuff. Like they do these programs on people's minds, and so they can kind of step into different personalities, and then they can forget the trauma that's been done to them, forget the, you know, and a lot of it is Satanism type stuff. But she was supposedly the doctor that was working with people in those realms, if you will, that had been programmed and are coming out of these cult-like groups. So the husband, he had this like scope, and this is how naive I was, you guys. Like, let's play a game. He's like, let's play a game. Like, let me show you. Like, the reason why he wanted to play the game is because he wanted to show me this device that he had, like, and how good it was. And he was like, go run in the field. And so I was in Davison, which is just next to Flint, just outside of Flint. Kind of little farmland community. And so my friend lived on this property and had lived right on this huge field. And so he's like, go run and hide. And I'm like, okay. I'm booking it. Like, I'm telling you guys, it's like almost midnight. Maybe it's midnight. It was late. We had just got done with like all this stuff. They were there for a few days. We had meetings. We were doing community stuff. Like, it was weird times. But I was interested in seeing what this thing did. So I ran and I hid. And I hid for a while. And then I could hear him like slowly. I could hear people coming in the distance. And as I'm like literally hunched over in a ball behind, I ran far. And then I was hiding behind like this brush marsh thing that came up. And I was just crunching a ball hiding. And as I hear him coming, I'm thinking to myself, I could be like just sitting here waiting to get killed for real. You know, and at that point it's already too late. Like, I'm in the middle of this field. I got this guy walking up on me with this device. He wants to show me what it can do. He found me, and when he found me, he said, bang, you're dead. So didn't kill me. I'm still alive. But he did show me what this thing did. I was able to look through it, and he explained to me that only the Navy at that time had access to this device, and 3 different types of people had come together to create it. One was an optometrist. The other was like some sort of, I don't know. All I remember for sure is that one professional background was an optometrist, and then 2 others. They all came together and they created this device. And what it does is it has nighttime vision, of course. That's how he found me. But it also allows you to like see through people, see through walls. So like if you are looking through this scope like at a house and somebody is like against the wall or nearby the wall, it actually can detect where you are in the house. Like, it can see you. And he told me that one time he was able to see like a pregnant lady that like the baby inside of her. Like, I don't know if he was telling the truth or not, but he let me look through it, and it was, I can't describe it, like what I saw, because it was truly really pretty astounding. But he said, let me go over here. And he walked probably 15 foot away, maybe 20. And he like bent himself in this weird shape, and he made himself look like an animal. Like, clearly he had practiced this before. And he was like, look. And it was pitch black where we were, you guys. I'm telling you, like, it was dark outside. The fire was over there, but we were over there. Pitch black outside. And I look through the scope and I look at him, and I literally see, I thought it was a deer. Like, I'm looking at this guy, but I thought it was a deer. It has different modes. So the mode that he had it on, I think, was like a night vision mode, but there were different modes that could allow you to see like the infrared, the heat. And then I also learned that night that if you're ever being followed up above like a helicopter, you know, the safest thing to disguise yourself is to grab onto a pine tree and hug the pine tree, and don't move. Is that true? I have no idea. But these are the types of people that I ended up, you know, meeting along the way. And this was kind of the first and really the last group of people like that I had ever worked with. I had realized at that time, like, you know, they all had like guns. They're walking around with guns. It was just really bizarre. Like, but I was safe, and it was a huge learning experience for me. I did a lot of stupid stuff. I mean, I aligned myself with a lot of stupid people. I was so like trusting. I just really thought that everybody wanted to really genuinely help the people. And as the years went on, I started to realize, you know, like, not everybody's going to have access to me, because, you know, I did recognize that, like, at that time, I was essentially, and this is one thing that, you know, George Grundy would say to me. He was like, because he got mad at me one time because because of a relationship that I had, not a relationship, but like a working alliance, if you will, that I had partnered with. And he was upset with me because these were not good people. And he was like, you need to understand something about yourself. And I almost lost his trust. He was like, you are like the lightning bolts in this city. And, you know, people are drawn to you and attracted to you. And like at that time, I had worked so hard to gain the trust of the community, because everybody that went to Flint, Michigan, pretty much everybody that had gone through there, whether it be a preacher, a missionary, a politician, any kind of humanitarian effort, they all had something to gain. Nobody really ever was going through there just to truly, genuinely help the people. And at this time, for the most part, people really started to trust me and believe, like, this girl is like, she's just putting herself in danger and she's still helping us. Like, she has nothing to gain. Like, I wasn't gaining anything but hate, to be honest. Like, my life was falling apart. Rumors, people writing false articles about me, that I was just there trying to like get fame, steal money. I don't even know what all these people were saying. You know, I was offered my own TV show with my own microphone that said Project Flint, all this stuff. If only, though, the only way I would get these things, you're going to have a louder voice. Your voice will be heard. You're going to have more influence. The trade was that I had to say their narrative. They didn't like what I was saying. So, like, if I was going to get this platform of, like, fame and, like, the movie deal, like, other people got, which I declined, I would have had to change what I was saying, and I wasn't willing to do any of that. So, like, not a lot of people knew that, but there were close people, and they started to really realize, like, and these were people that had, like, I partnered with a lot of nonprofits. I had made a lot of lasting, trusting relationships with, like, local nonprofit organizations, not just local, but, like, national and even global. Like, people were, you know, talking with me, and the ones that were talking with me in the end and that lasted were the ones that I believe truly, really did understand, like, I am just here to help these people. But he was upset with me because I had partnered with someone wrong, and I had did a wrong thing. And so he was like, you were the lightning, like, bolt. You have to understand that, like. And so basically, like, he checked me so good that day, and, like, I was in tears. Like, never did I ever get checked so good as I did when George Grundy checked me that day, because I was crying from what he was telling me. I felt so bad, because the way he was describing it was like, you just put the lives of people in this community in danger by what you did. Like, you need to be more wise. You need to be more thoughtful. And, like, that was when some of that naivety was starting to fall off of me. And I started to understand, like, this isn't just, like, typical, like, humanitarian activism, journalism, whatever you want to call it, work. This isn't typical stuff. Like, this is highly sensitive. This is a very careful operation. It needs to be executed perfectly, and you have to align yourself with the right people. Otherwise, people could get killed, and they did. People were dying. People were getting killed. Matthew McFarland, going back to what I didn't finish, he said he was at work. He thought he was drugged at work from his coffee cup. He drank coffee. He passed out at work on his desk all day. Nobody checked on him at all. But he didn't die. And then shortly after, he did, in his house. And he even said before that, like I had experienced, people were coming into his home. He knew it. He could tell. People were coming into his house. He knew something bad was going to happen. And that's why I believe he started to document the way he did, was because he really felt like his life was in danger. And I've been there, because I really grew to love this man. I never even met him, but I just felt like he was such a hero, because he was supposed to testify in court, and then he was killed. And he started to document things in a way where, in my mind, I can only think from my own perspective, because I started to do the same thing. I started to put things out there, like, even just messages for my kids, like, on my own YouTube channel, like, you know, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen to me. Like, I didn't know if I was going to be killed. I didn't know. So I understood, like, where Matthew McFarland was coming from with his journal entries, and how he was doing everything and taking pictures the way he was taking, was because he understood his life was in danger. He had a feeling they were after him, and they got him. They got him, they killed him, and they silenced him. And his word, his testimony was never able to be told in court. And I really, truly believe that his testimony was the testimony that was needed to expose this entire Flint water crisis. But instead he was murdered, in my super strong opinion, based off of the autopsy and toxicology reports that I had inherited. By the way, I looked at the doctor that did the toxicology report on him, and he had already been there were articles on him for like basically not doing a good job in the past. So I was like, that makes sense. I recently just looked into that, actually. For some reason, like within months, I was curious. For some reason, it just like, I'm like, let me look at this report again. And I Google searched the names on his autopsy report and on his toxicology report, trying to find out who they were. One of them works now for some big wig government stuff, right? And then the other one was basically pushed out because like he was shown to have kind of like malpractice. So like definitely people can get bought out easy. Money talks, right? Never did for me. But so when I inherited all of his stuff, I felt an obligation to complete the job, and I didn't do it all correctly. You know, again, I aligned myself with people that I shouldn't have, but at the end of the day, I did learn the truth, and I'm sure there's so much more to it that I don't know, but the majority of it I do know. And you know what's crazy is that with 001, that entire pipeline that was leading from Lockhart to the Flint River, that where all those dangerous chemicals were going into the river, you guys aren't gonna believe this, but what was it, like 4 years ago maybe, there was a $77.7 million that were appointed to the reconstruction of all of the pipelines underneath the ground there, leading from 001 all the way up to Racer, all throughout that area. And was that a big cover-up? Was it a huge cover-up? Probably, because they couldn't prove it then. They couldn't prove that the chemicals were coming from Lockhart and leading into the Flint River. They couldn't prove that this stuff was coming straight from Racer because Obama was the one that approved the switch, and, you know, all of this stuff. So, you know, $77.7 million. And also it's crazy because, like, I'm not even going to say that part, but that number 777 is pretty wild to me. Lots of cover-ups, lots of people dead. I'm not one of them. Every day is a gift. Never know what's going to happen. I could walk outside, get in my car, drive out of my driveway and get struck head on. You just don't know, you know. Somebody could be watching this video right now and send it to somebody in high power, and that person could do something crazy. I don't know. The main point of me being on here was to say that I was so disappointed that all of my live streams from the beginning of time have disappeared because Facebook has deleted all of the live streams. Why? I do not know. That was where all of the good information was. So, I never stopped caring about Flint, Michigan. I wish that the truth would come to light. There's been days where I've been mad. Like, why did I do all that work? And like, nobody even cares, like the truth is out there, like at least part of it for sure. A big main part, like a lot of it, maybe even all of it, and like, how is this not reaching the world? Like, that's something that gets me kind of upset, but I just have to put it back into the hands who gave it to me in the first place, and that's God's. Like, it was never my project to begin with. Project Flint was not mine. It was something that he trusted me with, and I just chose to answer the call, and that was really it. So I'm gonna wrap this up because I don't even know how long I've been on here, just blah 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 blah. But thank you guys for listening, and I don't know, I just feel like, maybe there's going to be something else for me to do in the future. I just want to love people, and I also want, like, my heart to change because Flint changed me, and I definitely have, like, a harder shell these days, and, like, while that's also good, it's good too, because, like, people suck, right? And people are scheming, and that's just the fact of the matter. You always have to be watching out for yourself and your family and your kids and your friends and all the time. But there is like a level of hardness on me that I do want to have shook off of me. And it really did start with Flint, Michigan. So I have no regrets. I'm going to read some of these comments real quick. May God keep you covered. Thank you again. You're welcome, Brianna. You're very welcome. I remember your stories and the Lockhart story. Hi, Diane. I remember you. You used to always, like, be on the live streams. All those live streams have disappeared. That's the point of this video. They're all gone. Thank you for being true to yourself. You're welcome. I don't know that I've always been true to myself, to be honest. I think that I've been holding my breath. I think I've been supposed to have been saying more. Like, I think that I've just been afraid, to be honest with you. I think that Flint made me scared. Like, it pushed me into, like, a corner of fear, like a cat. Like, because I saw the danger that can come from doing good work and, you know, trusting and doing the scary stuff, right? And so, like, it scared me. So I don't necessarily agree with that statement, but thank you for being sweet and saying it. I don't necessarily think I have been true to myself, but that's kind of the point right now, is like, I want to get back to that. Like, I just want to be trusting again, and, like, believing that, like, no matter what it is that I am supposed to do in this life, even if it looks scary or risky, that, like, God's got me. Yeah. I remember after Matt died, like, I didn't learn about Matt until after he died. And actually, I didn't learn about Matt until after the FBI was even done with their investigation, because that's when I inherited his stuff, was because it was returned, and then someone was like, I don't know why, like, but I just feel like I'm supposed to give this to you, and, like, I trust you with it. And I did my best for that person, like, and that's another area where I feel like a failure, is because, like, but it's not my job. Like, it's not my job to bring justice. I'm not a judge. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not a governor. I'm none of these things. Like, I'm just this chick from Wisconsin. Like, so it's not my job to hold this accountability of this failure. Like, I did what I could and what I believe I was supposed to do with every piece of information that was ever given to me. The only thing I feel like I failed to do was to continue to speak inspiration and encouragement and truth along the way. And that was because, in the one sense where they did win was they did silence me. Like, that's the only way that they did win a little bit, is that they silenced me. It's because I had to, like, kind of weigh, like, what's worth it, right? Like, sometimes speaking the truth can get you, like, in real big trouble, and then can also give you a reputation, and then, you have like a normal life, and then you have, like, this work that you do, and, like, the two collide, and then people in your normal life are like, who is this chick, right? So, like, then there was that complex as well. Just a lot of different things. He's got you. You're nowhere near finished. God's got big plans for you. You are where you need to be at this moment. I agree, actually. Like, I do agree. I think that he's been doing work in me. So I'm just trying to, like, be listening and stuff and waiting, because when Flint happened, like, I didn't even have to question it. He gave me the literal force, is the only thing I can describe it as, to go, like, I never actually really had to even try. Like, it was just like he gave me this, like, crazy zeal that, like, is supernatural. Like, it wasn't anything that I could have conjured up in my own. Like, people train hard, right? Like, you go in a ring and you fight, like UFC fighters, right? They spend sometimes, like, years training for that one fight. Years training. I didn't spend one lick a moment fighting or training. Like, I read a single article and then boom. Well, he put some things in my heart and my mind a few months leading up to it. But I didn't have to do any preparation. It was just something that he just, like, threw at me, and it was just there, like, everything I needed to go and do. Like, he opened the doors. He led me to the people. He built the relationships. He, like, places I never really even would have ever belonged to sit at. Like, he just brought me there. And, yeah, that's how that happened. So, I'm just curious to see. They definitely targeted you because you were exposing them in all the decades of corruption. Yeah, for sure they did. They definitely did. And sometimes I still wonder, like, I'll have weird cars, like, pulled in front of my house. And I live in an area where it's like, why are you parking in front of my house? Better believe I'm sending license plates and descriptions to my friends that know the walk that I've walked. So that way, if anything ever happens, here are some people in videos even. I'm not stupid. Like, I definitely still, not paranoid, just always looking over my shoulder. Forever, I will be. Even when I'm driving. Like, if I see a car 10 blocks behind me, I'm in my rearview mirror like... I truly believe you're in everything, though you're covering your way. Aw, you've missed my knowledge. It's not my knowledge, it's just God's knowledge. I was just a vessel. That's all. Like, it's, you know, I'm just like you, Brianna. I'm literally just like you. Like, I am just like you. Just like every other person watching this video that's ever watched any of my videos. Like, I just chose to just answer. Yeah, I also believe in gang stalking. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but, like, I do believe that that's a thing. But those are things people can't talk about because it makes you sound like you're schizophrenic or something, right? Like, these are some of the stuff that, like, I've experienced. I never did actually camp out there, Diane. I just would go visit and, like, have events, but other people camped out there. But I did go there while they were camping out a few, handful or so of times. But I had a lot of events there. I just actually never did camp there. I went to Standing Rock a few times. I camped out there. But, yeah, no, a lot of the stuff that, like, I have experienced, like, you know, people, you know, you can't really talk about it because, like, number one, people think you're crazy, but also it's not, like, everyday people type experiences. And, like, I'm not saying that there's anything special about myself, but I definitely will say that, I forgot what I was going to say, because that comment, us talking, makes it worse sometimes. Because in my mind, my PTSD is like, are you threatening me? But no, I do remember now what I was saying. They're not everyday people experiences, you know, certain walks of life experience different things. And so the types of, you know, things that I have experienced personally, in terms of, like, trying to fear me and silence me and things like this, are only going to be applicable and will only make sense to people that have walked in shoes like mine, that have done work like mine, or have experienced anything remotely close to, like, what I have experienced. So, and I do believe that that's very few people. So it's a very rare topic. Very few people can understand. So that's why, you know, like, you're kind of by yourself, you know, in those struggles. Like, you don't really have anybody to turn to because, like, where are you guys? You know, like, we're all just kind of just fighting our own battles. And those are people that I think they're called and chosen to do certain things, and nothing special about us or them. It's just, like, I don't know, trusted for some reason to, like, do a crazy thing. They use those tactics to scare you and make you look crazy and make you sick. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Like, I knew for sure that they were trying to do all of those things, like, make me look crazy. Because, like, one time I did, like, I went to the police department and I was like, this car, right? And, like, I'm really positive that they thought I was crazy. I'm 100% positive. And so, like, it just kind of discredits you as well. Just the knowledge itself of being too loud, I started to video it because I can't make it up and nobody will believe me. Where do you video it? Ace Boom. Your name is so brand new to me. I have not ever seen you on this page before. Granted, I haven't been here for a very long time, so I'm sure that there's new people, but this might be the first time. Maybe you have a new name. I don't know. What work do you cover? Like, what's your area of, like, passion? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have, like, a Facebook page? So what are you videoing it? Or, like, where are you posting and what's going on? I'm actually genuinely curious. Like, I would like to know, like, where are these people at? Like, where are the people that have experienced things like I have? Because it is nice to have other people that you can talk to. Sorry, I changed it. Yeah, I don't know who that is, but anyway. All right, guys, so good night. I'm gonna wrap this up. I've said everything that I can say. Oh my gosh, I do remember the railroad track. Diane. That was crazy. All this stuff like buried in the dirt along the railroad. I think that's more tied to human trafficking though. Definitely a lot of like human trafficking as well, not just in Flint but all over the world, right? And in America. Sometimes they say that the way to stay safe is to stay public. Actually, that's one thing that I remember, like when I was doing the work in Flint, people would say your publicity keeps you safe. So, you know, saying things like this, like, I don't know, I'm not afraid anymore, because like I've already accepted that like my life is planned already, and so what's gonna happen has already been written for me, no matter how that looks. So I'm not afraid anymore. I just I don't think you should be either. I think that you know, if you have something in your heart, just share it. Make it a little channel. You don't have to, you know, just put it out there. Oh, there are tunnels, Brianna. Like, it's proven there are definitely tunnels running through Flint. There's underground military bases. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. Flint, Michigan is a huge... GM, you know, they call it like General Motors. They call it government motors for a reason. And then, you know, they were booming in Flint at one point. You know, they used to make tanks for government. And, well, actually it was German first, and then, you know, Germany came over here after the Holocaust and all that stuff. There's a lot of history, you guys. It's very deep. I went by Trina. It's deeper, and yes, I'm with you. I want to be that again. Inbox me anytime for a combo. Yeah, why don't you shoot me a message and like, just, I guess I'm curious to know like what you're talking about. Anyways, guys, I'm for real gonna go now. So, thank you. It was good to talk to some of you guys again and see some of these names again. It's been a really long time. I still remember the names that are popping up that like I used to see years ago. But I hope everybody's doing well. Have a good night. I plan to do the same. Good night. Love you all. God is with you. Trust in him. Jesus is real. He is coming soon. We are living in the end times. Put your faith in the Bible. I know that's hard to do because like there's so much hate out there, but like God is light, God is love. Jesus has died on the cross for our sins, and he is the answer. He is the way, he is the truth. He is our only hope. He is our only hope, because we're all gonna die. We're just passing through this life. No matter what happens. They kill you, if you die just in a car accident, no matter how. Like, this world is not our home. We're just passing through. So put your hope in Christ, because after this life is what's important. Heaven or hell, it's your choice. So good night, guys. Remember when I used to do this?